Hi, and welcome to my gameplay guide for the 4th Age of Othercide. My name is Icon, and today we're going to explore Act 4 a little bit more thoroughly, in case if you're struggling with this area, or if you're wondering what happens to you if you head there, this video is just the right thing for you. So if you like this content, check out my channel. You'll find plenty of other Othercide videos and strategy and base building gaming videos there. Maybe you'll find something you like, and if so, leave a subscription and you won't miss any future content, my friends. So we're going to have a clean start here. I started a fresh recollection with the following remembrances, just to give you a relation on how strong this is. I'm not really strong. I'm taking this game at a very slow pace due to the content creation aspects. Just having the health upgrades like here, there are plenty of more things to unlock. I'd get some more vitae. It costs me less vitae to equip things, but most importantly I have the resurrection tokens. I really think they are very valuable, and I want to outline why later. I have the extra damage towards cultists and nightmare creatures. I would recommend those very much for the next for the 4th age, as well as these. I don't have them yet, but as you see here, you have to kill corrupted daughters, and it's quite valuable to have these as well. Alongside with these come these thingies here. Starting at level 7 is very powerful, and there's nothing much more to talk about apart from these. So from my point of view, the most important thing around Act 4 on this screen here is to make sure you have a bunch of daughters in your graveyard. You keep recycling and rebirthing every run. You have those tokens, and you can bring daughters from the last run. Oops, that was the wrong button. Into your gameplay, like I'm training here. My soul slingers, just you know how much I love the cheese strategy with those girls. But long story short, train a very effective squad. You can keep them with the tokens between runs. One thing is very important: clean up your graveyard from time to time. The amount of spaces here is limited, and you can lose single units if you don't clear up from time to time. You can forget and just remove them out of the graveyard here if you're not interested. The really strong thing about this, I keep pressing the wrong button, I'm sorry friends, is you get to keep the traits. So people, that's just a small one. You can get a lot more powerful things if you're really up to it. I've seen screenshots, it's insane. Screenshots of people whose trait lists were longer than this thing here could display. So that's what you get when you keep sticking with the same people in your squad. And the levels are very important for the last 2 acts of the game anyways. So what I personally prefer to do these days is go for skills like armor reduction on for the enemies. That's very powerful for my taste. I'm going to install these 2 here, and we're going to get into the first mission right away. Right after I have trained my other units here. So for the Blade Masters, after long times of fidgeting around, my personal favorite is the Lightning Strike and Accepting Stance combo. Accepting Stance can be so nice in boss fights, because you get a free attack on a target in front of you whenever you get boosted. You can abuse that pretty nicely, so I keep taking these things. So Blacksmith's Grace is way better than I thought, because mainly because I misread the skill description for a long time. So I somehow botched up this part. So you increase your armor for 180. I think there could be a full stop here. Increases armor by 180 for 40. Full stop. Move up 15 initiative units on the timeline for each incoming attack. Somehow I tried to find a connection between these 2 numbers where there's none. This skill increases your armor and gets you act earlier when you get attacked. End of the story. It's very powerful. I just somehow misread that. Maybe you did too. That's why I pointed it out. Apart from that, Saving Grace is absolutely amazing. It's an intercepting bullet just for shield bearers. That's why I take it. I don't have much Vitae left, so I'm not able to pick up other things. Between Shadow Round and Spirit Haste, there's not much room for discussion. Spirit Haste is still overpowered as hell, because you can... I don't know if they fixed it already, but if you put a memory on Spirit Haste, which increases the initiative by at least 15 points, you can't get endless turns with that. It's a very cheesy thing and it shouldn't exist. It's cheesier than Soulslinger, tripling Soulslingers. And because tripling Soulslingers is so cheesy, I'm going to showcase how to play around the 2-1 combo, which is my personal favorite. Having 2 Soulslingers and 1 unit something else, because that brings some variance, that opens up combo potential, and the longer I play Othercide, the more I have to say, yes, the game is completely beatable with Soulslingers only, but you also kind of beat out your fun out of the game when you cheese it too hard, because it's really fun to play with the other classes as well, but I don't want to convince anybody here. If it's fun for you to burst things down with the Soulslinger tactic, be my guest. Okay, so let's get back to topic. Act 4 has a lot of enemies you've seen in Act 3 or before, but new to this are things like the Infested. That's an upgrade to the Supporter from Act 2. And you're going to see that big worm you saw in Act 2 the first time upgraded here as well. So these are the new threats we're going to face. For now, one of my personal favorites is just to sit back and wait for a moment. I don't want to rush into my enemies headlong. So these monsters here are having very, very similar skills like their original predecessors. Their base stats are usually higher, their movement radius is way higher. You've seen how far that Plague Prophet could walk. Usually their smaller cousins can't do that. But of course, most of these units also have other skills, especially the Infested has seen some severe upgrades. So we have Dark Emanations that heals enemies in an area. You can swap positions with an ally. That's something it has to do actively though. And dealing damage, reducing armor, that's nothing new, but it also delays your initiative now, does more damage. And protective darkness, yeah sure, acting earlier, more armor, zone of pain, nothing new. But overall, the same, a little bit more, and bigger base stats, that's what we get here. So I also play with increased gaming speed because for the sake of the video, honestly, I just don't want to showcase those wonderful animations a little bit further. Did I sleep over something? So we saw here a wonderful bug. Somehow that thing was able to attack Joy from there. That shouldn't have happened, believe me. Believe me, friends, that shouldn't have happened. Usually that doesn't happen. Alright, so we're going to get smacked by this if we stay here, so always take a look at the movement radius of your enemies and act accordingly. It's never a wise choice to end your turn inside the movement radius of your enemies, and right now I just let them come. I really like to do it like that because it's way easier to finish off your enemies when they behave like that. So here we go. So this guy now has that big amount of armor. So what I'm doing now is I'm going into burst with this unit and use up all the shots that I have because I want to soften it up. Then I go into Shadow Round because HP percent skills are always served best when your unit is already in burst. So I'm going to move my shield bearer towards here and we're going to have a big whack on this guy here. Oh, double dodge. Nice. So this thing would have been dead, but instead I'm going to turn up the Blacksmith's Grace because something tells me that Joy will be beaten. So, okay. I mean, this guy is not, or... Yeah, it was a Plague Prophet acting like a Plague Witch somehow. But okay, I don't want to dwell on that too long. It was just a very strange thing to see. So our enemy instead evaded. So let's keep going. But it's going to be quite problematic if this guy is allowed to attack further from the distance, but no, he doesn't. Okay, the book has ended. I was just very worried about that. So here goes the delayed attack from the older cousins of the curse therapists, and you see it's now on AoE. Alright, so putting up the shadow bullet here because I definitely intend on burst that thing down. Alright, so next up, I don't think I'll be able to get rid of the Curse Witch, but I'm going to try anyways. So now, no chance. The Shadow Bullet from Amy doesn't trigger here either, that's a pity, but I'm going to go for an Intercepting Bullet now, because I have the slight feeling that there's going to be more damage on that occasion here. Alright, so let's lunge into that guy. That's working better.
How foolish,
and
my fears.
I could trigger the Blacksmith's Grace now, but I don't. Another thing that I want to show up here, you can look up what's oh, dang. I shouldn't have walked towards that guy. Be smarter than me. That was so easily knowable. Okay, Intercepting Round took down that one. But when the enemy's icon is showing that monstrous hand, you can already hover them and see what kind of enemy will spawn on that tile. So, sadly, Celeste is not willing to support here. Well, whatever. I have a very lousy positioning in this mission, you already might have noticed. But, well, to show off how these enemies are working, I think it's more than adequate. So, Shadow Round on Amy, taking down that guy. And now I'm going to step closer to the other guy and finish him off, and that's a one combat. So, overall, as you might have noticed, I got punished quite hard for every single mistake. Joy already took a lot of damage out of that, but it's okay. She's at level 7, so I can heal her up quite easily. And we're going to play one more mission to cover up a little bit more of the gameplay here. So, in these scenarios, when they're this fresh, we just cook up a new one. And I'm going to bring up a low-level Soul Slinger here, because when you sacrifice somebody, it does make a difference who you sacrifice. So Soul Slingers give dodge and critical chance, and I feel like dodge is a pretty nice trait for a shield bearer. You could also sacrifice a shield bearer to increase the raw HP more. I think if you're out for more visible traits, you go for that more instead. Alright, so we're going to play one more mission here. Let's prepare the next day. And Dave, because Act 4 didn't really show its fangs yet, so we're going to get into this. So we're having here another rescue party, but I'm not going to play that one. We're going to get into another hunt. So the new enemies in this act are mostly corrupted daughters. No, they're not. The corrupted daughters are not new either. Are these upgraded supporters and worm units. Apart from that, it's very similar to Act 3. But overall, my general point of view here is Act 4 is a lot about grinding up your stats to be able to beat down these guys, because the strategies didn't change too much. The Ravagers, yes, these guys are something you should be taking care of as quick as you can, but apart from that, nothing has changed too much. The Ravagers are different in a way that they're having a crazy quick movement pattern. Like, they get to act so often that it's easy to underestimate their movement, and unlike the other units, they got such a massively more powerful skill than other units that I have to just say respect those guys, respect them deeply. So I'm going to turn up the skills like here. And like I said, if you're going to use HP percent skills, by all means burst, because it's a waste of your HP if it only lasts 50 time units. So we're going to enable those Ravagers to move, and I'm going to focus everything I have onto the Ravagers, because if you don't, they're going to rip apart your team super quickly. That's mostly because they have the ability to... they have something similar like the Shadow Round. If they end their turn right next to a target and some other Ravager gets to attack, they get to attack too. It's a reaction skill very similar to the Shadow Bullet, and because of that you can really easily lose your entire squad. In one turn you left those Ravagers unchecked, and that's why I really can only emphasize it not enough. The Ravagers are possibly the most dangerous addition to the game starting from Act 3. It's just my 2 cents about that. So I'm going to prepare a lot of blocking skills here, as you see. So it puts up the revenge attack, but luckily it doesn't. But you see here how quickly these things can act again. It just ended its turn, and without the saving grace skill, I would have taken quite a nasty punch there. Even though on the timeline it was not really visible that this would happen. So here, you see here, if you hover on the above these icons, you can see what kind of unit will spawn. If you click it, you even are allowed to see where it will spawn. Use these informations because you have no clue where these things will start to rip you apart if you don't. So we're going to rush forward because I have decided to play it with intercepting skills. Going to get right in there and move one more tile, shoot down the curse witch because I mean I was aware that I wouldn't be able to kill it off, but I'm going to activate my interrupts here again just to make sure that these things can't just smack me from the side. Alright, so Joy, I'm going to put her over there again. Same goes as before. I'm going to use the Blacksmith's Grace and the Saving Grace just to make sure that nobody gets ripped apart by those enemies. Most of the time when you get hits in blindly, the amount of damage your enemies do is way higher than the amount of HP you've sacrificed. So most of the time it's really worth it to just take that investment right away. Just my experiences, and don't be worried too much about investing those things blindly, like getting no returns sometimes. First off, you learn to use your skills better in the future, and apart from that, sometimes you're just you just get unlucky or whatever. Things like that happen, and it's better not to dwell on that too hard. So Joy gets to act quicker now because she got hit. I played around that curse witch horribly. We need to finish them off in one turn. I just realized that this was a very bad decision of mine. So let's finish off that Reaper. It's just a bigger version of the Hunter, but I guess you already assumed as much. And sadly I didn't get any Corrupted Daughters so far, but well, Corrupted Daughters are quite easily explained. I mean, the name tells it all. You get evil twins of your own units. They are very powerful, very tanky, and you have to take care about them, and most of the time they are very important to be focused down. Ah, there's a Hate Dancer. That's at least one thing to show off. The Hate Dancer is a copy of the Scythe Dancer. If you don't know what a Scythe Dancer is, I'm not going to talk further anymore because I don't want to be a spoiler. But these are like evil clones of your own things, and they have quite similar skills. And most importantly, every corrupted daughter shares a particular hate towards daughters of the same type. So corrupted soul slingers will always prefer to attack to attack your own soul slingers, and so on. You can use that to your own advantage because that makes these enemies quite predictable. And honestly, you need that advantage, because without it, when they start to amass on these fights, they are really, really dangerous beings. So I'm going to use all my time units just to make sure I get rid of that. And we're going to finish those last 2 enemies next turn. So that sums up Act 4. Grind up your units until you're able to finish these combats with ease. The strategies are pretty much the same as usual. The only thing that has changed, you have to take your enemies more serious. You have to accept that they can move further than before, hit you harder than before, and more or less do the same as before. A few exceptions, inspect them wherever you can, but the most important changes are the Ravagers. They are really a kill-on-sight threat. I would even say, so far, I haven't seen any more dangerous unit in the game, because if you don't take care of them, they will take care of you. And the other thing, focus down the Corrupted Daughters, because they are right after the Ravagers, the next more dangerous thing. And depending on the situation, sometimes you have to take other preferences. It's hard to generalize that, but I think you should be able to reach that boss with my tips and tricks I gave you here quite easily. And thanks for watching at this point. I hope I was able to help you a little bit. And feel free to leave me a comment down below if there's anything you think I have missed, or you want to add something. I always love to hear from you. And yeah, hope we're going to see each other soon again. Until then, goodbye.